Welcome to another episode of Sons of Thunder. And we've got a lot of comments from our last episode, so we're going to do a kind of two-parter this time. If you watched our last episode, we're going to dealing with different topics and ideas that science and different people can't answer when it comes to people that can answer with faith-based things. And so we did three of the 10. And we're going to do, another 3.
Yeah, questions that have to do with why God is the best explanation, as opposed to atheism.
Yeah, and quite frankly, psychiatrists and biologists and astronomers can't answer these things. That's why we're bringing them up, because we're saying this is the proof that there is a God. And that's why you can't answer it.
Or at the very least, if a person doesn't consider it proof, it's the best explanation.
Right, yeah. So last time we dealt with morality, and what cuts the line really close to morality is human consciousness, right?
Consciousness, yes.
So let's kind of talk about consciousness. Like what's the difference between a conscience and having morality? I feel personally that it's, a moral code is what you've kind of been taught, maybe what you've learned as you've grown up. But a conscience, you should already know this because we're humans.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think I told you this before, but when I was like 4 years old, no one had ever told me it ain't right to steal. However, I had taken like a penny out of my mom's purse. And she found out about it, and she asked me, "Did you get in my purse?" I mean, she didn't know if she was missing a penny or not.
Right, yeah.
But I felt guilty, and I tell you, no one ever told me it was wrong to steal.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But I was conscious of the fact that it was. And I think that it's something that God just gives us.
Yeah. I mean, whether you believe in the Bible or not, the story of Cain and Abel's out there, right? And Cain, there was never a law set way back in that time, do not kill. But he felt guilty. That's why he didn't want to tell God. Or even Adam and Eve. They were told, don't do this. And they still did it. And then that consciousness, I got to hide away from the person that told me not to do this,
Yeah, but I would say that, I mean, it sounds like, though, we're confusing consciousness with morality. They're not the same thing. But you can't have morality without consciousness. Frankly,
yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have morality without self-awareness, and self-awareness is something that human beings possess that the animals do not.
That's a good way of putting it. Self-awareness. Now, I would say there are a lot of animals that understand their surroundings.
They're aware.
They're aware of other beings, but being aware of where I am and who I stand in the structure of everything, that's more self-awareness, right?
Yeah, there's a difference between awareness and self-awareness. And you brought up our comments section in our last video. We got arguments about whether the animals are conscious or not. And I think that the big problem was that we are all confusing awareness with self-awareness. And look, if all we mean by consciousness is that people or that you just know what's going on around you, you can see stuff and whatnot. Well, yeah, all the animals are conscious just like we are, but they're not self-aware. Self-awareness goes into morality,
right? And
all what you were just talking about. I mean, okay, here's what I've come up with for self. Okay, let me give you 2 definitions.
All right.
Awareness. This refers to being conscious. This is not definitions, but more like descriptions. Awareness refers to being conscious of your surroundings and environment. It involves recognizing external stimuli and understanding what is happening around you.
That's an animal.
That's what animals do.
Yeah, animals do it all the time.
You have to. If they didn't, they couldn't survive.
Right.
Okay, but self-awareness.
And that's where the evolutionary part would say, see, that's a conscience. But
it's an awareness.
It's an awareness. It's not self-consciousness.
It's not self-awareness. It's just an awareness. That's all. It's like you're awake, but I mean, okay, self-awareness. Okay, this is a good. It goes a step further. It involves an understanding of your own thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior. Self-awareness is about recognizing your own character, your motives, and your desires, and how they influence your actions and interactions with others.
And that's why it's so close to morality, because you realize I'm not being a moral, or I am being a non-moral person when I do step 1 or when I do step 2. And I know we're going to get people arguing with this. Well, dogs, know when they've been bad. It's like, no, you've taught them to this one thing is bad, and if you do it, you'll get hit, or you won't get a treat, or you'll be kicked outside. Yeah. That's not the same thing.
That's right, Gordon. It's like the avoidance of pain and seeking of pleasure or satiation or satisfaction or whatever is just a basic thing that awareness will have. I mean, plants can do it. But
plants stay away from pain. They go towards things that are more better for their being.
Trees will grow out sideways to seek the freaking light.
Right.
But they're not conscious. They're not self-aware. They don't have consciousness in the way that we're speaking of it here. And that was the big thing that I think that we were speaking of in our comments and stuff. But so it involves many things. It's self-awareness and spiritual nature. Unlike other creatures, humans have a spiritual dimension that allows them to connect with God and understand spiritual truths. You don't have to be a Christian or even a theist to want to be. I mean, I hear atheists talk about, I don't believe in God, but I'm spiritual.
Right, yeah. Well, that means you have a conscience of something, and you just don't want to tote it to God.
That's one of the aspects of self-awareness. Another aspect is moral capacity. Humans have the ability to discern right from wrong and make moral choices. What animal makes a moral choice about anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. But someone might say, well, they act a good way towards their kin or a bad way towards those that are hurtful against them. But I would say that's just kind of fight or flight mentality, right? I'm going to harm you if you come to mine, and I care for mine. That's not so much what we're talking about, though. That's an animal instinct.
Yeah, it's just a basic instinct to protect your young, but animals reject that as well. They'll eat their own sometimes, and frankly, sometimes human beings do as well. Apparently,
that's cannibalism.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I don't mean eat, but I mean you know what I mean. No, but we regard those as messed up people.
Yeah, we do. Right?
You know. Yeah, if they harm their young, we regard them as wrong and messed up.
Yeah.
If animals do that, okay, they're just animals. If a shark even attacks like a child and kills it, we don't say that the shark is evil. It's just being a shark.
Right, exactly.
It has no self-awareness. It doesn't have any kind of fargan morality.
Exactly. And I would say before we move on to the next thing, one last thing is, if you're saying that there is no difference, okay, then you tell me where do you get that killing's wrong? Because if you don't believe it came from a God or the Bible or from some holier, higher entity that's telling you this, if you don't believe that, then what makes you think it's wrong? Period.
Yeah, you're talking about natural.
You're talking about a conscience, because your conscience is saying it's wrong. And where do we get that? God gave it to us.
Yeah, that's the only place you get it, because evolution doesn't give you that conscience.
No. Evolution doesn't give you say, kill him and keep it, and keep mine and never help, because I got to be better.
How the bloody hell does morality help evolution? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It has nothing to do with it.
Not at all.
Morality involves self-sacrifice and doing stuff that even ends up with the death of the self.
Right, yeah.
Which is the opposite of what evolution would. Okay.
Agreed.
You hear it.
All right, so the second thing is the Goldilocks universe. Now, some people might not understand what that is, but who was Goldilocks?
She went into three bears' home, and she broke in there apparently.
Yeah.
And she was eating their porridge, and one was too hot, one was too cold, and the other one was just right.
Right. So the ones that were just right We call that Goldilocks planets or Goldilocks universes. Ones that, like universes and planets, that is perfect for living conditions, and not just living, but also sustaining life and keeping it going. So, for instance, statutes and facts about a Goldilocks planet or a Goldilocks universe is how water remains on the planet. If we are too close to the sun, then the water that we have will evaporate. It's not liquid anymore, right?
Okay.
It's too hot. If we are too far away from the sun, then it freezes, okay, or becomes a gaseous substance. So that the Earth is in a Goldilocks inhabited zone, they call it, and scientists don't know why. No one can answer why we are set in the perfect, look at that picture. We're set right there in the middle of our Milky Way. That's a perfect place for us to be. Why are we at this point? Why? What makes us the huge explosion? I've never seen one explosion ever come in a controlled substance.
I know. If you set off a bomb in a forest, it ain't gonna. When it comes back down, it isn't going to assemble a house.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah. But your explosion from evolution created a perfect planet that is exactly this perfect place from the sun, and not too far, not too close. Not only that, our atmosphere is completely perfect for someone to live in, while Mars, who is right past us, and Venus, who is right ahead of us, both have a fairly sizable planet as us, okay? But it's not inhabitable because they don't live in that, Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, that sweet spot.
Yeah, that sweet spot. So the answer or the question is, why do we live in this sweet spot? How is Earth? And then I'll go even further. It's not just Earth. The moon itself. Without the moon being placed in a certain position, the gravitational pull that the moon has on the Earth creates a substantial way of life for our axis. It creates tides and seasons perfectly. Who made that? That's not an accident.
Yeah, what are the odds that everything could line up perfectly for life here? If anything was off just by a few degrees, nobody could live here.
Right. And I know you don't know, but a lot of people, probably a lot of people don't know, but scientists say that our moon came because something huge hit the Earth, and the moon's just a big chunk off the Earth.
I've heard that.
Okay, so if you've heard that, then you'd have to think, well, then how's it placed perfectly, and why didn't the Earth get bumped further to the sun, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, this is your wheelhouse, buddy, but yeah, I hear you.
And one last thing with the kind of Goldilocks zone that we talk about is the orbit. Our orbit is perfect to go around the sun, while all of the other planets, will go closer to the sun, further away from the sun. They go out. They sometimes cross, into different planets' orbits and stuff. We stay perfect. Why do we stay perfect? And to me, and I know to you, when I ask that question, it's obvious. Well, God made it perfect so we could live on. But for anybody who doesn't believe in a God, answer this question. Yeah. I want you to answer this question. I really want, and give me science, not just because you like it or...
You know that they're just going to say time. You got to... tons of millions of years solves everything. It's like time is magic and makes everything possible.
Yeah.
Sure. They attribute to time what we attribute to God. And time is inanimate and doesn't have a will. But God does, and so I think God makes more sense than time.
Yeah, God makes perfect sense because He put us in a perfect place to live.
Yeah.
So these are two things. The last subject that we're talking about, it's something we can also kind of chop up, you and me both. It's materialistic. Okay, so having a materialistic mentality. there are some animals that do this. There's some animals that keep stuff, shiny things.
They stockpile things.
And stockpile
some
stuff.
do, yeah.
Mostly do it for food, okay? Because in their rotation of life, they know, I have to harvest and keep stuff, right? For the winter or whatever.
Yeah.
But humans have a distinct difference in liking things that don't help you in the least bit.
I think part of it is they have a sense of the future, which animals don't have.
That's actually, I'd never thought about that. That's actually a very good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you put up money in the bank because or at least you believe 10 years from now I'm going to need this. You save up money for retirement for 25, 30 years because, I need something to live on when I'm going to retire. Animals can't do that. And, of course, the more money you get and the more you can sock up, the best your retirement's going to be and all that other kind of stuff. But animals do not think that way. They're not self-aware.
But then I guess, I play devil's advocate, the evolution people will say, well, that's why that's a survival of the fittest because you're trying to be better. Right?
Well, I reckon so. But frankly, animals, they live from day to day. They just do.
Right.
They're not thinking about, the dog, why does the dog eat so much food? You keep feeding him, he'll frickin' eat till his stomach busts.
Yeah,
why? Because even the domesticated ones, they don't know when they're going to get their next meal. They don't, you've had them for years and the dog still will eat everything you can feed him till his stomach busts. Right. Because he doesn't, in his own mind,
he's not thinking of the future.
Yeah, my owner's going to feed me tomorrow too. I don't have to freaking pig out tonight.
Right, but I would say the materialistic mentality goes even past that. Like, I'm an Xbox player. I play games all the time, okay?
Yeah, and you should play on PC. Xbox sucks.
Yeah, well, everything sucks if it's not Xbox. All right. But why do I care so much about having an Xbox? That doesn't help me to survive better, right? Yeah. Why do I like Spider-Man? Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why should I like Batman? That's my point.
He's far cooler than Spider-Man.
Cool. That's my point. Cooler things. Or if we look at our picture here, why do we care about a watch? Why do we care about purses? Why do we care about trinkets and cars? Cars will get you from point A to point B. Evolutionists will say you need that to survive, but you didn't before. So why do humans need things? And not only need things, but the definition of materialism is a tendency to consider material possessions and a physical comfort more important than spiritual values.
Okay, I hear you, but look, I still don't get this. How does that relate to why God is the better answer?
Because he obviously put something in our brain to care about the things he's given us, to glorify him in thank you for giving me this, thank you for letting me enjoy this, right? A lot of people don't have a lot of things. Americans actually are pretty rich, even the poorest ones, right? And we have so much, and we can thank God for that constantly. You and me right now, we can thank God for even doing this show when a lot of people don't even have the ability to do that, And then you can go further, like I said, my Xbox. That's something I just plain enjoy, right? Or reading comics, or if you want to take it even to a family thing, why do I keep my great grandfather's army watch? Yeah, that's not a survival of the fittest thing. That has nothing to do with evolution. Yeah. But that's innate into us, and
it has to do with relationships and stuff like that. Which again, animals they're not concerned about that, and this self-awareness and all that stuff is a gift from God. And this, I see what you're saying about the materialism thing. It's like any other good thing; it can be perverted into something that turns wicked.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter.
And then it becomes something wrong, which you don't even care about the good value morals that we're talking about, or your consciences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you care is about getting stuff and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like anything else.
Yeah, and I would say with all of these things we're talking about, and even the last episode when we're talking about, it proves God in different ways, and it proves that he is, above all. And he's controlling things, even if we don't see him. we can feel his presence by our thoughts or by our emotions or by the things he gives us, or just looking at nature.
Yeah, take a look around. You'll
it's
see
obvious.
Yes.
I feel like it's obvious. And we're, talking to a brick wall.
Hey, man. I hear you, bro.
All right, so if you like this episode, please comment at the bottom. Please like and subscribe and give us other things we can talk about. And we'll see you next episode of Sons of Thunder.